Hey, this is Patrick Coffin. Welcome to the Patrick Coffin Show. No guest today. I want to talk about the coordinated swarm media influencers on the conservative TPUSA, let's just say dual citizen brigade, who really don't like Candace Owens, who have lined up to smear her and make her into a pariah and scapegoat her. That's what I want to talk about today. I don't have donor pressures. I'm not beholden to advertisers or corporate interests. I'm just me. I make very little from YouTube ads. I have a community called the True North Movement. We talk about false media narratives. We talk about the Catholic faith and the acceptance of the gospel without compromise. And we believe inside True North that the goal of life is to enjoy God forever. But in the meantime, just let your hair down and tell the truth. You and I are jurors in a trial called life. We are not the judge. We're not the prosecution. We're not the defense. We're not the bailiff. We're not the peanut gallery. We're not the janitorial staff. We are the jurors, and we're always getting evidence that we have to weigh. We have to come to a decision. This is the great insight of the rules of discernment of St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, back when the Jesuits were awesome. You have to be aware. You have to understand. Then you have to make a decision. You have to act. So if you want to find out more about the True North Movement and what we're about, click the link, patrickcoffin.media. And with that, I want to talk about some related issues regarding the swarm against Candace Owens. It doesn't matter if you like Candace or not. It doesn't matter if you agree with 100% of her positions, or you like her makeup, or her affect, or her voice, or whatever, her choice in colors on Wednesdays. That part doesn't matter. I'm talking about the dynamics of pushback when someone decides to say out loud that the big emperor is naked. Doesn't matter what the emperor is. It could be a critique of Trump. It could be a critique of Israel. It could be a critique of the official narrative laid down by the FBI and pushed everywhere on legacy blue-pilled media. And of course, the conservative TPUSA warhawk neocon types. I'm going to talk about them in a second. When you stand up to that official line, when you draw your own line in the sand and you say, there's something wrong with this story, I believe we're being lied to on a massive scale. It's not that your ideological opponents will gang up on you. No. It's your side. Jesus was by his side. Because when you have people in a group that are all heading in the same direction and have the same goals, rivalry begins. And sometimes the rivalry can be very, very intense. Happens in hockey game fights when they break out. It's a bench clearing brawl. Happens in baseball. All the tension between the rivals breaks into a clash. And that clash becomes a kind of catharsis. And all the tension of all the hatred and the rivalry is kind of expelled. It's expunged, expiated, you might say. This is all understood very well by a man named René Girard. He was a French literature professor, spent 40 years teaching at Stanford, and he came up with this theory called mimesis. Now, I've talked about mimesis before. It's also known as mimetic desire. And essentially what René Girard found was that human beings are made to love and support what others love and support, and hate what they hate. We find bandwagoning very easy. We fall into groupthink. If you want to find out two fascinating proofs of René Girard's theory, check out the Solomon Asch experiments, ASCHE, and the Stanley Milgram experiments from 1961 at Yale. This is all about peer pressure and how, the extreme lengths to which people will go to not oppose the group. This is an instinct of fear, cravenness that's deep in our fallen human nature. And some people rise above it. Candace Owens is one of those people that ignores that taboo and continues to speak out and ask the questions that millions of people are thinking but don't want to ask out loud. Candace, I believe, and I've never met her, we've a lot of people in common, I think she serves a kind of similar function in society as the court jester. Now, she's not a comedian, she's not trying to be funny, but she's asking questions that release a lot of pressure, truth-finding pressure. Like the comedian, the court jester, the role is to poke fun at the leader so that we can laugh at the foibles of the government and tyranny and so on. It's a very important role, the role of the fool. It's very Shakespearean. And when the fool is suppressed or censored, all of that mimetic desire, all that antagonism that we have toward rivals becomes more and more intense. And it breaks out into irrational activity and violence. Charlie Kirk said this many, many times in different ways. I don't know if Charlie has ever read René Girard or not, but he certainly knew that the key to moving forward with your enemy, your ideological foe, is to talk. You have logos in common. Logos, the Greek word for order, intelligent design, intellect, study. That's the basis of conversation. And when we can have open conversations where we have the marketplace of ideas and the clash of thesis and antithesis, that's when violence erupts, because the anger cannot stay bottled inside forever. So Candace has been willing to play that role of gadfly, and she has taken the slings and arrows of her own side. It's the conservative side that reserve their special ire for Candace Owens. It's not CNN. You don't hear any of those people talking about Candace Owens, except to use her as they've used Trump for ratings. Far-right conspiracy theorist divides the MAGA unity. That's the only little language they can speak, is to say that Candace is causing all this far-right squabbling and internal fracturing, which is true, that is happening. That's a good thing. If the truth matters, then tribalism of conservatives or of liberals doesn't matter. And I don't think that Candace Owens is a tribalist thinker. I think she thinks in terms of true north. Right, wrong, true, false. That seems to be her guiding star, her inner GPS. Now, maybe it's because she's now a Catholic and understands the sacramental worldview, understands the transcendent importance of having a culture that's rooted in God. This is where the word culture comes from, right? Cultus, the Latin word for worship. Theology is upstream from culture. And Candace Owens is now on the business end of scapegoating from her own side. And it's the same crew. Just off the top of my head, it's Laura Loomer, it's Josh Hammer, it's DC Drano, it's Benny Johnson, it's Brandon Tatum, it's David J. Harris. And they don't tag her. That's the other thing. They do not tag her. Why would they not tag their target, especially on Twitter or Instagram? Because tagging means accountability. Accounting means an e-paper trail that tracks back to you. Definitely coordinated, just all at once, last week and this week. And it's always the same passive-aggressive, effeminate on the part of men attack. They don't say, here's where Candace is going wrong. Let's discuss. Let's demythologize Candace Owens' reporting. No. It's hysteria. She's lost it. The woman's crazy. She's mentally ill. Her poor kids. Hey, can someone tell her husband to disconnect the internet? All of the dual citizen MAGA cult people, they are all over this to shame her and make her into a pariah and a scapegoat. No accountability. Jack Posobiec, there's another one. The same narrative day and night. Now, I happen to have been at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I got up super early and I went there, and it was the strangest thing. It was a combination of emotion-based Protestant infotainment and then every second speaker at this indoor Trump rally with fireworks, and it just was bizarre. But the whole thing seemed aimed at telling me and the people in the stadium and the watching audience around the world that the FBI got their man. Tyler Robinson, furry trans boyfriend, Antifa guy, hard left, the leftist Charlie Kirk, over and over and over again, leading up to in a way, Trump's remarks at the end were not the ultimate moment. The big starring moment was Erica Kirk, who only 11 days before her husband was in the neck in publicly came out with glamorous white and honestly daubed non-existent tears with her right hand on her left. That was a little interesting, let's say counterintuitive. And then she led up to the big line, that young man. She just mentioned Jesus on the cross, asking the Heavenly Father to pray for his. And then she said the triumphant line, I forgive him. And the place just fell apart with emotion. He's a suspect. In America, we don't generally forgive suspects. We wait till the trial happens with rules of evidence and a decision by a judge and jury. We don't put cart before horse and make a federal case, pardon the metaphor, of someone who's a suspect. This has happened before, and the two, I think, highest profile comparisons or analogies are JFK and the decision by the powers that be then, led by people like J. Edgar Hoover, at the time the FBI director, who led the FBI for decades and decades. Lone gun nut. Lee Harvey Oswald was a communist lone gun nut, and we got our man. That started on the evening of November 22nd, a Thursday, and it continued until Jacob Rubenstein came in the cop shop, Dallas Police Department basement, better known as Jack Ruby. And he was what he said he was. He said, on camera, in custody, I'm just the patsy. He never got a lawyer. Mark Lane was trying to represent him, who later wrote the book and the documentary Rush to Judgment. But Lee Harvey Oswald without legal counsel. RFK, same thing. Sirhan did not RFK, as Lee Harvey Oswald did not John F. Kennedy. This all came out already. This is all established. If you want more about the JFK, I'd recommend James Douglas's book. It's called JFK and the Unspeakable. JFK and the Unspeakable. I'll leave the link below. So here we have the neo Lee Harvey Oswald, Tyler Robinson, and the TPUSA people are all telling us the same thing. Shh. Don't listen to the crazy voices on the fringe. Kanye is the let me put it the other way. They Kanye'd Candace to sideline, to scapegoat. And I think there's something ironic about Candace deciding to interview Harvey Weinstein. They seem to be on the opposite ends of so many different poles and spectrums. Harvey Weinstein was also a scapegoat. Now, I have neither truck nor trade with Harvey Weinstein. I'm not defending him. He's a convicted rapist and he's in prison, as far as I'm concerned, where he belongs. This is not about guilt or innocence of Harvey Weinstein. It's that Harvey Weinstein, in a paradoxical, almost doppelganger way, was scapegoated by the left in Hollywood, as Candace Owens is being scapegoated on the right, in the political sphere. Do you think Harvey Weinstein's the first and only casting couch monster? No. Hollywood threw its pool of sin, so to speak, on top of Harvey Weinstein and expelled him. He was scapegoated for their sins. Ask yourself what truths Candace Owens, by challenging them, are not supposed to come out. They're not supposed to enter public consciousness. What are the powers that be afraid of? I'd love to hear in the comments section. What is at stake that explains this swarm, this coordinated swarm attack? I call it the mob lash, the backlash of the mob. Leave your comments in the comment section. Also, what are they distracting us from? Day and night, we're fed the same basic Charlie Kirk stories. The ecosystem online is flooded with all kinds of half-baked, as we say in Canada, half-arsed theories that are truly crazy and shouldn't be listened to. One metric that I use is the reporter writing under his or her own name? Because there's a lot of anonymous accounts, fake name troll accounts, and they're just positing the most ridiculous things. I don't even have to list them. You probably have seen them. If they're writing under their own names, I'm going to give them a hearing because there's accountability. Everyone else is out in the open. That's where you need to be. Truth flourishes out in the open. The devil loves secrets, he loves darkness, and he loves lies. And Jesus said the devil was a murderer and a liar from the beginning. So murder and lies go half and half. They're twinsies. They're kissing cousins. So when you have a bold voice like Candace Owens, I'll mention a few others since I don't want to fall into the trap of making it seem like Candace is the only contrary voice. There are a lot out there. She says out loud what millions of people think inside and don't want to disclose publicly because they see what happens. It happened in the Catholic Church in America with Bishop Joseph Strickland. When people stand up and they say the thing out loud, then the reigning regime that has vested interest in keeping certain secrets do not want opponents. Our side wants to debate. Their side wants to delete, and that's the difference. So ask yourself, what is being distracted from? Could it be the move toward digital currency? Are you paying attention to digital currency? The UK, the EU. This is the adoption of the CCP-style social credit system, where a cashless society is very easy to manage and manipulate. They can actually cut off your supply. This has already happened with Castro Jr., Justin Trudeau, with the trucker phenomena in Canada. Their assets, their banks were frozen. If the government controls the flow of your money and you can't have pieces of paper with dead presidents on them as a means of exchange and currency, bartering through money, fiat currency, then your independence vanishes. Then, if the government doesn't like what you wrote on Twitter, if they don't like the views that you've espoused, if neighbor rats on you, if you're spotted on a CCTV camera, being rude or saying something untoward that the government doesn't like, then you, my friend, are screwed, because your source of supply, your livelihood, is at their whim. And that's a scary world to live in. So when there's so many things told about the same story, and the story is exhaustive, and they keep it running in front of us, ask yourself what other thing they're doing. This is a standard magician trick. You can call it misdirection if you want. I do close-up magic professionally. I prefer to call it direction. You're directing the audience. Where you look, the audience will look. And we're being asked to look at one story over and over again. And I think the reason why Candace Owens is so important is that she is the contrary voice standing up and say enough. She is the Hegelian antithesis. You have the thesis of the official narrative. You have the antithesis of the skeptic, the one asking everyone to ask all the uncomfortable questions. And then the synthesis is the gang up, the making of the upstart, a pariah and a scapegoat. And that's not a healthy way for society to move forward, because both sides are no longer speaking. They're at loggerheads. And the positions they each hold ossify and get worse. And this is the legacy of Charlie Kirk. End the ossification, end these congealed, hateful, mutually exclusive arguments, and start talking to each other. All we have to risk is the truth. That's what's at stake here in this story, is the truth. And Jesus didn't just say the truth will set you free. He says in John chapter 8, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I don't know about you, I just want to be set free by the truth. And the truth comes with a cost. Jesus counted the cost and went for it anyway. So did Charlie Kirk. So did all the martyrs. And it doesn't have to be literal persecution. It could be the white martyrdom, taking the slings and arrows of friends that want to call you bad names, or losing followers, or getting blocked, whatever it is. It's worth it, because the truth is worth it. And Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. For more information about the True North Movement, click that link. We'd love to have you on the inside, to learn from you and grow in faith. Till next time, this is The Patrick Coffin Show. Be a saint. What else is there?